Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to JV Live. This is season XX, episode 1. This is the premiere. Numero uno. We don't do an episode 0 because, well, that's fucking stupid. Tonight, joining me, as always, is Gords. Gords.
Good evening, everyone.
Sorry, I forgot to mute myself on the other screen. Good evening, Gords. Thank you for your insightful hello.
Yeah.
David, would you like to say hello to the people who are still yet to join us?
Hello everyone, Happy New Year and all that. Let's hope 2006 is a much better year than 2015.
I hope so. Because 2015 was a bit drab. But on the bright side, my Facebook feed is filled up now with lots of nice, happy, engaged couples.
I've not even bothered logging in. I didn't even log in to say fuck off to everyone.
I think I sent one Happy New Year message, and that was to Jim yesterday, and I just said Happy Thursday. I'm not really, this year I've just not felt the spirit at all.
No.
I think the only real thing I did, apart from spamming people with a few other things, was I found a rather amusing Pinky in the Brain meme about what they were going to do on Christmas Eve and what they can do every night. Plan how to take over the world.
Yes, I did like that. I do enjoy a good Pinky in the Brain. Obviously, because it's awesome.
Yep.
But did you know that Pinky is actually the one who's a genius, and Brain is the one who's insane?
Yep.
Because genius knows no bounds, and a lot of people who have genius level intelligence that suffer in other ways. This is a really quite calm JV Live.
We're only a few minutes in.
It's a bit weird. We have somebody watching. I don't know who's watching. Well, that might be me. I don't think. No, it shouldn't be me because I'm logged into the Optimon account. If you are watching, please feel free to use the chat box on the right-hand side of the video. Yes, I know we're not on the website. That's because somebody's a lazy git and couldn't be bothered to actually sort the website out today.
As a guess, I would reckon that's probably Sean. He seems to be fairly regular.
More than likely. Yeah, probably Sean. So yeah, I just can't be bothered with the website at the moment because I've got to sort a new chat app out, and I was going to do it over Christmas, but like stuff got in the way. Because Steam had this sale thing going on, and I ended up buying some games. And I'm also going to end up buying some more games before the sale is over on Monday.
Yeah, I'm resisting. I've bought enough games.
I'm just putting a bit of money into the ones I've already got, so I might have to finally put some money into buying some stuff in World of Warships. I might even buy some credits or whatever you get on Guild Wars.
I didn't know you played Guild Wars.
Yes, played it quite a lot for a couple of months, and well, about a month, and then went back to World of Warships. Got to about, I don't know, level 40, something like that. Nothing massively high.
I played it for about 2 hours and got to about level 15.
It gets harder.
And was like, yeah, starting to slow down the leveling process now. Don't like where this is going.
It's all those bloody viewpoints you have to find.
Thing is, when you've played enough RPG type games like I have, you start to recognize a game that's slightly unbalanced on the leveling system.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is really when you're playing a game, the enemy levels should go up with your own. And on a lot of these, you're fighting stuff that's slightly above your level. But they're a lot weaker than you are. So you get like naffle fucking experience points for it. You really gotta. There are ways around everything to do it, but
I find with Guild Wars, basically, just blast the hell out of every rabbit you see. Because that'll give you 3 to 5,000 XP.
nice.
And they don't fight back.
I can do that.
Hmm.
But that's why I like DMing in Dungeons and Dragons.
Hmm.
Because I can just throw whatever the hell I like at the players, and then when it gets to a certain point, I just be like, right, you're all leveled up. Whether they've got enough experience to level up or not, I just get bored of hearing the same spells and cantrips and abilities over and over again. So I like to throw
Yes,
a level up.
James.
I like to throw a level up at them, and then that way, when they've leveled up,
No.
they've got to learn new shit.
Hmm.
Because I know if you're like me, when I level up in a game like that, as soon as I get a new ability, I'm like, must use the new ability.
Yep, but knowing my luck, if I was partaking, it would be a case of use new ability, steps back, puts foot in a bucket, falls over crevasse.
You'd have to fail like 3 rolls in a row to do that.
That's easily done.
But I think the funny thing about Dungeons and Dragons is, I think years ago it used to be something that used to be done in basements, and everybody was almost ashamed that they played D&D.
I think it's cool now, isn't it? It's
It's
along with the geek culture.
I think it's become a spectator sport almost. People are actually really enjoying it. People enjoy the way that players role play their characters, and DMs have really, interesting adventures and stuff for everybody. And everybody plays the game slightly differently. There are so many homebrew rules and homebrew races, and because I don't know if anybody watches the Moronscape one, but we've got a Wandering Scarecrow Psionic, a Soul-Stitched Druid, who's made up of all different types of people, who managed to still remain a Welsh Druid, but has got this little lady elven hand on his left hand. We got a teeth. We got like a good group of characters, and it's really fun to sort of interact with them. But yeah, so I think it's become that sort of thing now where everybody is sort of watching it and sort of finding out what's going on about it, and that's brilliant because it brings more people into actually stepping forward and actually having a go and playing.
Of course, there is a risk when you start doing D&D. It's that you go the next step and you go on to LARP.
No. Not unless it's a Renaissance fair and I get to dress up as somebody from Star Trek. Or Star Wars, or Battlestar Galactica. I don't care. Some sort of sci-fi going to a Renaissance fair. It's always good for a giggle. Need to get a new uniform. So yeah. Gorge, we've been playing Ark as well.
Yes, we.
Died a lot.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, that's endemic with starting it. Until you get to a certain point, you are just going to die. And I think we've chosen the worst possible time to start.
I was going to say, because we started playing Ark just as they've got their Christmas winter event going, which means everything is covered in fucking snow. So from the minute that you start playing the game,
You're dying.
You'll start dying. Because even us, with almost full clothing, we're still cold all the time. So it's like the next level of clothing up is a long ways away for us.
I've got to say though that I'd played it a couple of times as had yourself, Ryan. Starting out from scratch, just on my own, not with a group of people that I know that I can start a tribe with or anything. And it makes a big difference having a couple of people with you. We're leveling up a lot faster, and because we were able to work together, one could be doing one thing whereas one's doing another, and so on and so forth.
But it's like when we were building the hut a bit bigger, and you needed thatch and wood. But you get thatch and wood from the same place, except you get more thatch if you use one tool and more wood if you use the axe. So it made sense for me to go and get the thatch and you to just focus on getting the wood. Even though you're getting thatch along with it, you're getting a hell of a lot more wood than I'm getting.
Yeah, but the other thing is, like, for anyone that's not familiar with Ark, you start out and you know nothing, essentially. All you know how to do is how to make a pick, and you have to hit trees with your bare hands. So you start out and almost immediately you're having to learn everything. So if there's 2 or 3 of you playing at the same time, each thing that you learn requires a certain number of points. So if there's 3 of you that can all learn separate things, you, as a tribe, you're stepping forwards at 3 times the rate as if you sat on your own, working on your own. And it does make a hell of a difference. But we were plagued by the server we were on was not running too sweet either, was it? Not really.
No, the ping was a little bit high. No, the actual server ping. The server ping shouldn't be that high. So I don't know. I mean, also it's a game that's still not optimized. There's still a lot of issues with it.
Yeah.
I think once it becomes optimized, it will play a lot better. Sean says try fighting a level 80 chicken. I believe that's about Guild Wars.
Yeah. Not tried that yet.
Well, you should have no problem with that, Sean, with your level 5 million character. I never known somebody take so quickly to a game.
I've been playing a lot of Borderlands. I'm quite enjoying that.
What class did you take?
I'm Malachi, Hunter.
Sniper rifles then.
Yes. Sniper rifles, shotguns and pistols.
I didn't play the first one that much. And I still don't know where my copy of it is, because I had it on Xbox originally. Still got the case, I just don't have the disc.
Yeah, that's kind of a problem, that.
Yeah, I could deal with not having the case and having the disc. That's not an issue.
Maybe take it back to a game with some cellophane from another game and say, well, I opened it and there's no disc in here.
Oh man, it wouldn't even be worth it now. They just pick up Borderlands on the Xbox for less than $5. So you can pick it up on PC at the moment. You can get Borderlands 2 for $5.
It was a $5 for Borderlands with all the upgrade packs on Steam. So.
Yeah, it's the same with Borderlands 2. It's like £4.98 or something like that with all the DLC.
I did notice it was about £7 for Borderlands 2 and all the DLC, which that's a hell of a deal.
It is a really good game. They're 4-player co-op as well, which is kind of a rare sort of thing, because a lot of times you get co-op games and it's like 2 people. But they are a lot of fun to play with 4 people. Because one of the plans for Oxymoron at one point was to actually have a 4-player campaign from start to finish on Borderlands 2. But I was playing on laptop, it was real laggy, and so, yeah, not great to play. Because I died really lot. I die a lot in Borderlands anyway, but I died a lot more than anyone really. Because in Borderlands 2 I also played Gunzerker.
Yeah.
Which is basically just run into the middle of it. Sean says Black Ops 3 started playing Christmas Day and now level 43. Have you? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. The online stuff you have to level up nowadays on everything. It's not like back in the day when I used to play Counter-Strike, when you just earn money while you were playing and then you could buy the Dual Elite and then own everything. Oh, that was the other thing. Day of Defeat is on sale on Steam. The original Day of Defeat, not Day of Defeat Source, and it's less than £1, which is great because I love that game. So I might end up getting that, even if I have to play against bots because I don't know about the servers being open.
I've started playing Fallout 3 as well.
Have you?
I've not gone that far into it because, like I was telling you, everyone's been ill, so it's been not conducive to settling down. I've played more Lego than anything with the kids.
Yeah, but the Lego games are brilliant. Cause they I don't know if you've seen it. There's a game called Lego Worlds.
I think I've seen that. I've not played it.
It's basically a sandbox Lego game,
Right.
and you got to go around and you got to find all these different things. I don't know if there's actually any aim to it or it's just a sandbox Lego game. Either way, if it's a sandbox Lego game, then that's pretty awesome.
We've been playing the original Star Wars saga. The one that's based on the cartoon, and we've been playing Marvel Heroes as well, which that's quite good.
Yeah, because I've said it before. I got the Lego Hobbit game for the Xbox One, and I absolutely loved playing through that. It's been a while since I've played it actually, but it is a fun little game, especially when you notice stuff when you're playing through the missions the first time, and then when you get to that point where you've got that person who can use magic or use the Force in the Star Wars games, and you're finally like, oh, I can finally go back and do that.
Yeah.
And then you go back and do that, and then when you're doing playing through in free play mode, you notice something else where you like with the original Star Wars game, you need Boba Fett because he's got the bombs.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of playability in them because you got to play it through as a story mode, and once you've done all 6 games, then you can unlock some of the characters that, like you say, you need for all the other sections that you can't access. So there is a lot of gameplay in them for the cost of them.
Well, yeah, and they have got a lot of replayability, and the fact that they're co-op multiplayer as well.
Yeah, well, like I say, I mean, I've been trying to get the kids to play them on their own as much as I can, but I do tend to end up playing with one of the kids, or I'll be playing with James and Luke's just sat watching, and it is kind of useful.
Yeah, especially for kids. I mean, because some kids they struggle with games. Not the actual game itself. They got mechanics and stuff down, but there might be something that's a little bit too tricky for them, and it does help to have an older person around to actually do that bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because then they don't get defeated by it, and I think seeing kids defeated by games is a bit. It's a bit morbid, really.
Well, they've got to learn.
I know, but the games industry has changed now. Even the games and purely adults hold your hand through the first like 5-6 hours of the game. That's if the game is 5 or 6 hours long. I grew up with Mega Man. In Mega Man, if you die, you die.
Yeah.
You don't know that's how you're going to die until you die, and then you just endeavor to never do that again. There's like whole bits with Mega Man where you're jumping across from ledge to ledge, and then there's a hidden ledge somewhere that is just out of shot, and you've got to sort of try and get your jump just about right. It doesn't always work. What other games have we been playing? I know I've been playing Star Trek again, which I encourage everybody to try and play Star Trek online if you do enjoy Star Trek.
Even if you don't, it's a well-balanced game. You don't need to know the history of Star Trek or have watched a TV series. It's a good, well-balanced MMO with both starship and ground battles.
Yes, the ground stuff not as fun.
Huh. They're worth
It's not-
money.
It's not bad. It's just not great.
Hmm.
Personally, I think the ground stuff would do better if it was just an FPS style sort of.
There are some missions that have got that sort of feel to them, but they've changed the ground episodes quite a bit.
I don't mean like
Hmm.
just going around shooting shit. Because going around shooting shit, if that was all you ever did when you went on the ground, that'd be real.
Yeah,
fun,
but shooting other humans rather than bots.
No, I mean, just do it from first-person perspective, and then play it like a proper, like, sort of like a Bethesda RPG. You know, first-person, but you can go around, you can talk to people.
Hmm.
I think sometimes the talking to people can be a little bit flat.
Yep.
Sean says his 8-year-old could take on the whole Razer Gaming squad single-handed. Yeah, but anybody could take on the Razer Gaming squad single-handed. They're not actually as good as they think they are. Hey, I'm just saying, man, I could, even without a mechanical keyboard, using a wireless keyboard and a shitty little mouse, I still reckon I could hold my own against some of these. A lot of them, the only reason they're as good as they are is because they've got a nice, decent mechanical keyboard, and then they've got a mouse which is that sensitive, they're barely moving their hand. But yeah, we should start our own team. We just need a game now that we can all play.
Minesweeper.
Do you want to start off a little bit easier?
Okay, Solitaire.
That's my jam. That's my jam.
Right, I'll just go and change the kids' TV over, and then they can hopefully set them.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, if anybody does want to play Star Trek Online, feel free to let one of us know. We can try and help you as much as possible. Somebody knows more about it than somebody else. But
Or look up, if you're looking for a fleet, look up Fleet of Shadows. And we'll be glad to help.
because was it you who actually started the Fleet of Shadows?
No, it was some American kid, but they lost interest. So I eventually took it over. And then I lost interest for a few months, and now I'm back into it. It's pretty much a dormant fleet. There's a few people still around.
Yeah,
Right.
because there was somebody online yesterday when I was playing.
Hmm.
That wasn't you.
No.
I was actually surprised.
Yes, there's. When did Twiglets get so fucking small?
Oh, that's to make them more of a choking hazard than they already were. And that, by the way, that's not because I don't like Twiglets, because I do.
It's tiny.
I don't know.
Disappointed. At least the pot's well filled.
On the bright side, I know what ship I want.
Oh, excellent. Escort.
No, it's not. It's a cruiser.
Which one are you looking at going for?
The Tactical Command. But then I was thinking,
Hold on, isn't that the one oh no, I've got the Operational Command.
I was contemplating the Operational Command because it's more thing, but I kind of...
It's got a higher base on its hull, but the Tactical you get 6 shuttle docks rather than 4.
Mm-hmm.
But you only get the Type 8 shuttlecraft. I wish I could remember where I picked up my Delta Flyer hangar from. Because I get the Delta Flyers, which are a little more survivable.
I don't know, but I did contemplate also getting the Delta Flyer for my small craft. Just because.
Well, it's okay. I find the runabout or the captain's yacht are better.
I don't know. I'll see what happens.
So has anyone seen the new advice on current safe drinking levels?
Oh no, I wanted you to explain this to me.
Is that the one that
Right.
states that you should only drink when there's a wine a day?
Let me find the link.
Well, some of us might not want to drink them. Who wants to drink a namby-pamby French invention?
Hmm.
Right, this one's on the BBC. So, and they are obviously non-statist to the core. Let's see if that goes in. Oops. No web addresses in there. Right.
The BBC is a brilliant source of information if you happen to like the current ruling party in the UK.
Yeah. So, new advice on how much people in the UK should limit their drinking is to be issued following the first review of official alcohol guidance in 20 years. Now, it is important that you understand that the original guidance was made up. It was quite literally plucked out of thin air. It's an arbitrary, now that'll do. So, Chief Medical Officer, friend of Vapors, Dame Sally Davis, has decided that the daily maximum intake for men should be cut to the same as for women. Do bear in mind that the current guidelines as of last year, women were 2 to 3 units a day and men were no more than 3 or 4. Now, that was based on the idea that men are generally slightly physically bigger than women, therefore alcohol can dissipate through the system a little bit more, and that's sort of why they decided to make up that arbitrary figure. Now they're planning to slash men's guidance to the same as women. According to newspaper reports, the review will stress there is no safe alcohol intake, and even drinking small amounts could cause diseases such as cancer. So I think we know where this has all come from originally. It's going to be the WHO, because they seem to love the idea that everything causes cancer. Scottish guidelines already advise people to abstain for at least 2 days a week. The advice to be issued by Dame Sally will also be adopted by the Chief Medical Officers for Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales. The current guidance states that by sticking within recommended limits, there is only a low risk of causing harm in most circumstances. The recommended daily maximum for women of 2 to 3 units equates to no more than a standard 170 ml glass of wine, 75 ml glass of wine. Men are told not to consume more than 3 or 4 units, not much more than a pint of strong lager, beer or cider. Elaine Hindell, who's clearly a nanny state troffer, because she's described as a chief executive of alcohol education charity Drinkaware, said that updated advice would help people make better choices about their drinking. Our research suggests that aside from the well-known impacts on the liver, broader alcohol-related health risks such as hypertension, heart disease and some types of cancer are not commonly understood by many people. Dr. Sally Marlowe from King's College London told the BBC a break from alcohol for several days had various positive effects. Alcohol...
memory loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alcohol, when you metabolize it in your liver, turns into a poison. And while it's a poison, it's in your system and messing your system up physically. Also, psychologically, if you're drinking every day, it becomes a habit, and habits are really difficult to break.
Well, that's generally because habits are made of cotton.
So, basically, the nanny state is coming out strong in 2016.
Yeah,
Let's face it, this is guidance, a bit like the you should eat 5 bits of fruit or vegetables a day, which of course everyone follows.
Yeah, but this is the same. This is coming from the same people who have guidance on gambling as well. Yet aren't limiting the amount of gambling machines any venue can have. Instead, they're actually just increasing the tax. If you're increasing the tax on something just because, then you're obviously not that worried about the effects of it in the first place. What you want is the money. And if all you want is the money, I will carry on drinking, thank you very much. I already know not to gamble. My wallet is going for that one.
Yeah, my problem with all this is they keep introducing guidance about every aspect of your life. Everything from what you eat to what you drink to whether you smoke or not, how much television you should watch, how much time you should spend on a computer. And it gets to the point where you just start ignoring all of it. So useful advice like not drinking 8 litres of Coke a day or something stupid like that gets ignored because they give you so much arbitrary crap on everything else.
But you see, that's because Coca-Cola's pay so much tax. Oh no, sorry, they don't, do they? It is a problem. It's a side effect of Europe. This the so-called lefty liberal sorts. They love to tell you what you can and can't do. Unfortunately, all our parties seem to like doing that nowadays, and they should butt out of our lives and get on with, I don't know, perhaps solving the problems with the economy, maybe stopping a few wars. A little controversial, I know, because we need to protect that oil. Sorry, the people in those countries that are oppressed by dictators.
No, I think I'm just starting to find it highly offensive, the amount of interference they feel they can apply to everyone's everyday lives.
Trouble is, when you look at it, everything causes cancer nowadays. And yet, they put chlorine and other chemicals in our water that we have to drink, unless we buy bottled water. The amount of RF radiation is put out by multiple devices nowadays. There's no guidance on that any longer. 4G cell phone signals, they were rushed through, so there's no real information about that. God only knows what 5G will be like.
Look, at the end of the day, everything causes cancer is a complete and utter cop-out. Cancer is already there. Nothing causes cancer.
Oh, it may cause diabetes as well. That's the other good one.
Right? You already have cancer, in a way. Because cancer is basically, I believe...
Cell mutation.
Yeah, cell mutation. So these things don't cause cancer. They increase your risk of cancer.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the same people who are quite happy to have X amount of cars on the road for people who don't need to be on the road at any given time, causing traffic jams and this, that and that, building up the pollution in the air from these vehicles. And I don't care what that MOT says. You can... Years ago, there was hardly any cars on the road during the daytime because you use your car to get to work and that was it. And then you had people out in vans and stuff like that going around in the day doing their work. You didn't have every Tom, Dick and Harry running down to the job centre because they were late in their car and this, that and the other. There's more cars on the road, so it doesn't matter how low your emissions are. Those emissions will build up. And those emissions are dangerous for the people around them.
And don't forget now, because of the number of cars that are now on the road, I remember when I started work, if you went to work at 6:30 in the morning, I was travelling into Manchester, which is a relatively busy city. If you went in at 6:30 in the morning, it was 20 minutes from where I live into Manchester. Now, from the same place, if you want to be in Manchester at 7 o'clock, you need to set off before 6.
Yeah, good hour.
You know, and it's the same. I travel all over the country, and it's the same in most places. If I want to be in Birmingham, which is only an hour or so away from myself, I need to leave my house at 4 o'clock in the morning. And the roads are relatively busy at that time, and not just trucks. There's vans, there's cars, there's trucks, you know, there's taxis, there's all sorts.
Also an awful lot of empty buses.
Yeah, but that's another thing. That's another thing that grates on me is the buses. Because they moan that nobody's using the buses, but nobody uses the buses because they're not a reliable form of transportation.
No.
They don't show up on time. They started pulling out bus stops to stop kids hanging around in the bus stops. How much did that cost? It would have been a lot more cost effective to actually build a couple of youth centres or build a couple of places where kids could go and hang out. It's not difficult. The kids now cause more trouble because they're not allowed to do anything.
No, they're just bored.
Yeah, when I was a kid, even when we weren't at school, we were allowed to climb over the fence and go on the school playing field and play football or rugby or whatever. Because it was there. And nobody else was using it, so you were allowed to use it.
Oh, you can't do that now. You know, someone might get hurt. Little Jimmy might bruise his knee and then sue the school.
Yeah, but this is the problem. We've become so Americanized that you can sue somebody for the slightest little thing. If somebody insults me and hurts my feelings, I can say I'm psychologically scarred, which there's no way of proving that somebody is psychologically scarred. If you know the right answers to give when taking a psychological evaluation, you can make the outcome whatever you want. And it doesn't take a lot to figure it out. Trevor says, might trip over a dandelion. No, you won't. You don't see dandelions anymore. Dandelions have to be taken out. They don't pay taxes. They have to go.
However, if you do find one, pull it up, mix it with some burdock, you've got yourself a lovely drink.
It's this whole insistence on health and safety and this, that and the other that really is dragging this country back. Take the fucking warning labels off everything. If somebody is stupid enough to put an iron against their face while it's switched on,
Or put their cat in a microwave.
Yeah, I don't think that's the fault of the manufacturer.
And kids have got to be let out so that they can play, and they do learn that if you climb up a tree and you fall out, it hurts.
Yep.
Well, how did you learn about fire? Right, no matter how many times your parents would have told you to stay away from the fire, you would have eventually put your hand in it or something like that, and it would have hurt.
Well, no, I'm actually quite evolved, so I put my hand near the fire.
Or even don't pick up that tray which has got the biscuits on because it'll just come out the oven and it's hot. Granted, I do that now, but that's because working in kitchens for years, you sort of develop asbestos hands, and I can pick up trays and stuff when they're out straight out the oven. But I know my limits, and I'd never. But we just don't need warning labels on everything. Every drink you pick up now has got your recommended daily allowance written on it. Nobody takes a lick of fucking notice.
I think the worst thing is on packets of peanuts that say may contain nuts.
Yeah.
Or on coffee pots from places like Starbucks, even McDonald's, saying may contain hot liquid or risk of scalding. It's bloody hot coffee, of course there is.
Oh, what's the Canadian one? There's a Canadian one, and on theirs it says anywhere else we'd have to tell you this is hot, but this is Canada.
Yeah.
Which I think.
California is the worst place.
Yeah.
Do you know that if you actually buy a shower tap in California, it comes with a Prop 65 warning informing you that it contains substances known by the states of California to cause cancer? A shower tap.
That'll be the water that goes through it. Because
no, it's
Americans
actually,
don't actually
it's
drink
actually
their
the
water.
materials used in the construction of the tap.
Good God, what are they making their taps out of?
Brass
Lead and
and,
arsenic?
brass and chrome plating like everywhere else. But the thing is, because of this culture of suing people and not having any personal responsibility, they have to put these warnings on everything. If you if you look on the internet for Prop 65 warning, you'll find the signposts that have to be up in coffee shops because coffee is carcinogenic.
Is it?
According to California, it is.
Ah, yeah.
And the thing with it is, it's not geared around safety. It's geared around ambulance chasers being able to sue industries to make a vast profit from that industry. Just they're basically holding to ransom.
Yeah.
We're actually seeing that now with CEH, California Environmental Health. I think it is. They're a group of ambulance chasers, and they're trying to prove that e-cigs have formaldehyde in, basically, so they can hold the industry to ransom.
Oh yeah, this is the one where they put out a statement a couple of months ago.
Yeah, they claim that they conducted a study, but they won't release the study for people to look at.
Well, the thing is, with anything scientific, if you don't give evidence to support your claim, then you might as well not have made the claim in the first place.
Yeah, the problem is this is America, and it means that whoever's got the biggest pockets wins the case.
That's right.
This is America, where common sense and decency don't exist. Also, while we mention California, I've got to say it because I say it every time somebody mentions California and the law. California is a state that only made necrophilia illegal in 2003.
Yep.
Bugger, there go my holiday plans.
Trevor says California is a carcinogenic. I don't know, because they don't allow smoking on the streets.
Well, the air definitely is in their cities. You look at a place like LA and San Francisco.
Well,
Because they actually passed a law to protect Ford and General Motors. You know those big sports utility trucks they buy?
Yeah.
They're actually exempt of a tax that every other vehicle has to pay on the purchase price to protect that industry. And they've got massive, great bloody engines in. Produce piss all power, but...
Yeah, but don't forget, until General Motors stepped in, Ford was like dying, and even General Motors now is fucked.
Yeah. They're being kept alive by the state.
Yeah. Kind of like the bankers in the UK.
The thing is, the most popular selling car in the world, the car that sells the most number of units per day, is the Ford F-100 pickup truck.
Yeah. It's because it's so cheap. It's got those tax exemptions on.
Yeah, it's cheap and it works for people.
And it's got fantastic credit options on buying it. The US is going to be so fucked if they have to increase interest rates.
The thing with California, I forget the exact models of the guns, but certain guns are allowed and certain guns aren't. And again, it's for no reason, or no logical reason.
They've got maximum clip sizes as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Which I think it was the LAPD actually sued California state government because they would have to reduce the size of all the clips on their guns.
Yeah, that will have likely happened. But they do have really silly regulations over there. You know, that make no sense. It's like various gun manufacturers have various brands, for argument's sake, as I understand it. And it can be quite literally, there can be two guns, and one stamped with, for argument's sake, Taurus, and one stamped with Beretta. For argument's sake, I can't remember the exact brands. Beretta is not legal, but the Taurus is legal. Even though it's the same gun.
Yeah, same gun, different branding. It's mostly to do with paperwork.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Paperwork.
Well, I did read that the last gun shop in San Francisco city limits closed down last year.
Good.
So you can't actually buy a gun in San Francisco any longer.
Well, you can, trust me.
You can't buy a gun from a gun shop. You can go down a back street and buy one from your homie.
I was going to say...
serial number shaved off.
And then on the flip side, Texas today has legalized open carry.
Texas has always had open carry, hasn't it?
No, it's concealed carry, isn't it? That's legalized.
No, they've legalized open carry.
Well,
I've got no problem with open carry. If you can see someone's got a gun, you know you don't mug them.
I like the way you work it, but then, no, to be fair though, last time I was in Texas, there were people openly carrying.
I've got a feeling what it might be is something along the lines of you had to have a permit for open carry, and perhaps they've abolished that permit system.
Okay.
It
or
could
something
be.
like that. That could be it.
But then again, last time I was in Texas, I was just outside San Antonio. We spent most of our time in San Antonio. We were in this small little town just outside it. I say just outside it. It was like a 45-minute drive. Because this is Texas, where everything is bigger in Texas. Trust me.
Except the brain size.
I don't know, man. Texans, they've got their heads screwed on. They're hard-working people. They do what they do. They enjoy going out and shooting stuff.
Yeah, I really have no problem with American gun laws at all. In fact, I wish that England had the same gun laws, personally. People, all the gun laws do is prevent legal citizens from legally owning weapons. So all the weapons are kept with the criminality that does have a worrying habit of not adhering to the law.
But you see, there's a reason for that. If the honest citizens don't have guns, then it's only the criminals and the government that have guns. So if the people wanted to rise up against, say, a corrupt, morally bankrupt government, we can't do it.
You want to bet?
Not without getting a lot of us shot. That's okay, I'll be at the back of the protest.
We wouldn't get shot. There's a brilliant thing called escalation, and it happened in the States a long time ago. Have you ever heard? I can't remember what it's called now. It's like 60, is it 40 minutes or something like that? Basically, it was a bank robbery, and this same crew had been hitting banks for years. And the first time they ever hit a bank, they went in with pistols. The police show up with pistols. The next time, they show up with shotguns. So the police show up with pistols still. Then, the next one, they show up with fully automatic rifles. The police show up with shotguns. The police show up the next time with body armor and rifles. So the time after that, they show up with armor-piercing bullets. Escalation.
It's crazy when you look at some of the equipment that US police departments have now. They've got armoured Humvees and military tanks and assault helicopters. Why the hell does a Hickville USA Police Department need that sort of thing?
Have you ever seen a riot in Detroit?
No. I've seen a protest in Oklahoma.
Right, if you've ever seen a riot in Detroit, if you've seen a riot in Detroit, you know why they need an attack helicopter, because it ain't safe to be on the ground. But then that's the thing. America's a much bigger country. It's got a lot more people, and so when they get riots, it's not like the London riots we had here. Although I will just point this out.
That was just discount shopping.
No, the London riots was just students.
Yeah.
Students angry because they'd have to pay more for their university education that they're never actually going to fucking use.
Although it was funny afterwards seeing one poor guy getting arrested and charged for stealing a bag of rice from a Tesco's that had been done in when everyone else would go on for things like high-def TVs.
Yeah, but they get what they can, and then the police will get what they can as well. They need to show face, and they can't. It doesn't matter what he steals, he's stolen, so he's got to be done for it. But I do. Sean says, this new thing, you might have heard of it, called social media, better than any gun. Who needs a gun to destroy somebody? Look at London Riot. But yeah, I don't know. I think the problem is in this country, the level of education. And that's not the level of education on offer, that's the level of education most people actually obtain, is surprisingly low. And
A big problem with that is the curriculum, which is controlled by the government. You get taught just to pass the exam. Teachers aren't really allowed to teach a random subject any longer.
You also don't only learn to think for yourself, you learn to pass the tests.
Yeah.
it's jumping through hoops.
Hmm.
That's all it is. It's jumping through hoops. And unfortunately, the problem with jumping through hoops is it doesn't actually teach you anything.
Hmm.
The way the curriculum should be done around here is it should be a very vocational. Schools should be a very vocational place. It shouldn't be, tests and sit-down exams, because some people don't get on well with that sort of pressure.
Yeah.
Especially I nearly had a breakdown when I was in school, because you had every single teacher telling you from third year onwards, right, this is it now, you're preparing for your future, this is the most important thing you'll ever do. Every job I've ever applied for, I put my GCSEs down. I've lied purposely lied, just to see if anybody's actually checking. Not one person has ever checked my exam results.
I've had them check my degree, but that's about it.
Yeah, but then for your degree, it's all about UCAS points. So your GCSEs count towards your UCAS points.
No, it's A-levels. Don't think GCSEs do any longer.
Oh, well.
Or, hold on, it's, is it NVQs or GMVQs now? Basically not very qualified qualifications when it comes to UCAS.
I don't know, because my MVQ, I get a lot of UCAS points.
I've got a GMVQ 3 distinction in business studies. It was only worth about 2 A-levels at C grade.
And I think it's because mine was MVQ media production.
Oh, so only worth a couple of GCSEs then?
No.
Oh, that's right, that's media studies.
This is the argument I've had with a lot of people, right? Media production and media studies are two very different things.
Yeah.
Media studies is sitting down and watching stuff and then reacting to it. Media production is learning how to actually make it. So we did everything from music production, sound production, Foley sounds even, which, by the way, the most fucking fun thing in the world is making Foley sounds. You basically get to sit in a room all day and just play with things to see what sort of sound they make. So then you like crumpling up paper in front of a microphone, and then you listen to it back, and then you apply a couple of filters and reverse it and do this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden you've got a crow.
Yeah. It's a bit like making the sound of someone breaking a bone. You use a cabbage and a knife. Well, not knife, a cleaver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was my favourite one? Oh, snow. And what you do is, you know the polystyrene packing, not the peanuts, the actual sort of paper that they put on stuff, but it's the thick padded polystyrene.
Bubble wrap.
No, not bubble wrap. It's, you get it sometimes just in a sheet.
Oh yeah, I know the stuff.
You get one of those, and you twist it into a tube, and then you just twist it, and you just keep twisting it, and it sounds like somebody walking on snow. You know that crunch? Yes. I like Foley sounds. Foley sounds interest me. It's something different, and I like making stuff, and like films and stuff I really love making. And it's on the agenda for this year is to actually get out and start making films again. The only difference is now I've got to go and get a load of new equipment, which is not going to be cheap. So if anybody sees me on the news, yes, I probably did try and rob that bank. But yeah, I mean, these are all quite happy-dappy qualifications. I mean, Gordge, you're a proper engineer, aren't you?
Yeah, I did my school. I think I did college for 6 months and got an apprenticeship. So then I had 1 day a week for 5 or 6 years at college, and actually learnt stuff on the job, and then changed jobs to what I'm doing now, and still learning 15 years later.
Yeah, but with something like engineering, it's the same as like electricians or plumbers and stuff like that. Things change.
Some stuff's applicable
Hmm.
elsewhere. Some principles are applicable elsewhere. Most of my stuff's kind of practical stuff, and more hands-on rather than sitting in an office designing stuff.
And my degree was out of date before the toner had died on the certificate because it's computer science.
Yeah.
Yeah, computer science might do. Because it's like before my mom had my sister. 'Cause my sister's the eldest. My mom was a computer programmer. Except back then, you used to program computers with little punch cards,
Mm.
and a computer was a room. Not so much anymore. I'll be doing something on the computer, and my mom would be like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm just doing this, making a website or something like that." "How are you doing that?" "Well, I'm just putting all the code in here, and then how do you remember all that code?" "I don't know, I just remember the code."
Yeah, I've got to agree with Sean here. Sean's saying schools have changed massively. Went to my eldest lad's school, it's more like a community centre now. It's been rebuilt, and this academy bollocks is also known as failing school ain't helping. My stepson's in secondary school, and I've got to admit it's nothing like my secondary school was, that's for sure. And Trevor says his son's ITA level was a disaster. The whole year failed, then school had the cheek to say the kids didn't apply themselves. The course was utter crap. I reviewed it as an IT consultant.
Yeah, but this is like me with business studies at school. We went through 2 years of being taught the wrong syllabus, so when it came to the exam, we were being asked questions on stuff that we've never covered. And this goes down to the whole thing of you shouldn't just teach to pass the exam. You should teach everything there is to know about that subject. It should be a broad curriculum. There's no point. It's like English literature, for example. There's no point just giving somebody Shakespeare after Shakespeare after Shakespeare if they've never read any Wordsworth or Dickens or proper literature. I'm not saying Shakespeare is not literature, but it's not really literature. Shakespeare is plays. They're not to be seen as literature. They're a very physical thing. You can't get the grasp of Don John the Bastard, for example, from Much to Do About Nothing, without actually seeing the play. You can't truly understand the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet without actually sitting through the play. And by the way, the real tragedy in Romeo and Juliet is they only serve beer for the first half of it. That is really fucking insulting, and I'm never going back to that playhouse. But you've really got to be there to experience it. It's like you couldn't study an opera by just looking at the lyrics. You need to know how it's sung. You need to know the expressions and the way that it's done.
And also, it's different every time you see it.
Well, yeah,
You read
because
a book, and it's pretty much the same every time, but it's flat.
But that's the one thing I hated about literature when I was at school. Because what did the author think when he was writing this?
Yeah, I don't know. Fucking go and ask him.
I don't know. He's been dead for 600 fucking years. He could have been thinking, oh, what's for tea? He could have been thinking, oh, fucking hell, the Normans are getting a bit rowdy. I don't give a shit what he was thinking. It shouldn't be what was the author thinking, because nobody really fucking knows.
Especially with Shakespeare, because I seem to remember seeing recently that traces of cannabis were found in his pipe.
Cannabis was very, very common during that period of time.
As was opium.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with a good bit of opium.
Opium was very popular until the beginning of the last century.
Yep.
And by the way, anybody watching, the beginning of the last century wasn't like the beginning of the 1800s, it was the beginning of the 1900s. We passed that point 15 years ago. 16 years ago. It still confuses me. I still think the 80s was like 10 years ago.
Yep, when we had good music.
Yeah. I don't know, the 90s was alright for music, the beginning half, because you had the Seattle sound was still going strong. And in the UK, we had bands like Pulp and Blur, and then Oasis ruined it.
We had happy hardcore in the 90s. I still listen to that now.
Has happy hardcore actually changed?
I don't know, because the stuff I listen to is from the 90s. It's proper stuff. What people now consider old school.
Yeah, but that's the funny thing in it about time. We all react to time differently. It's like the 90s only seemed, what, a couple of years ago?
I think it's because the last decade's been so goddamn depressing.
26 years ago from 1990.
But the thing is, really, what happened in the last 16 years? Of note, music-wise.
Lemmy died.
Yeah. Not really good when Lemmy dies, because that means a little bit of rock and roll just died.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. I actually really like Lemmy, because he's one person that, in today's music industry, they would never have got to where they were.
Well, the thing is, since, 1998-ish, there's been X Factor, which has largely destroyed the music industry.
Sean says the Smiths for me back then, and then he says Bieber.
Goodbye, Sean. You're being ejected.
And I agree with Trevor. Sean, wash your mouth out. It made me laugh actually, because I saw it. I actually saw it on Russell Howard's Good News, and then I saw the meme pop up on the internet. It was about Justin Bieber's mom, because she got pregnant with Justin Bieber when she was 15, and she got people tried to persuade her to have an abortion, and she didn't. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I am pro-choice.
Save the world from another Bieber. Have an abortion.
Yeah. I mean, Canada's not really that great for us music-wise. They gave us Nickelback.
Bryan Adams was Canadian, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, the one that did the Titanic song.
Celine Dion.
That's the one.
And Justin Bieber. And I'm sure there's more. So personally, I think we should just stop Canada from producing music. At all, ever. No more. Sean says he's being down with the kids. Unfortunately, Sean, only the young girls are still obsessed with Bieber. And some rather strange middle-aged men. No. Firstly, my show. Secondly, if I want to talk about Nickelback being sucky, I can talk about Nickelback being sucky. I'm not the one who brought up Bieber. Fucking little shit. The best thing somebody said to me about Bieber is, if you earned that much money and blah blah blah, and you'd go out and buy fast cars and this, that and the other. No, I fucking wouldn't. I'd buy a Nintendo, and a Super Nintendo, a Mega Drive, and this, that, and the other. I'd buy all the fucking games for them, and I mean all the fucking games for them. And I would not do anything other than do that. I would have retired and just played video games the rest of my life. That's what I'm going to do when I'm rich. I'm going to become an all-day streamer on Twitch.
Speaking of which, I must go and buy a lottery ticket.
A bit late now.
Yeah.
No, it's Saturday. They do the draws.
Euro Millions today.
I'm not going to win that. Live in the wrong country. Not that it's fixed at all.
No, of course not. There just happens to be a lot more German and French winners than anywhere else.
Very few Swiss winners, though. That's probably because they've got all the cash already.
Switzerland isn't the tax haven it used to be anymore.
No, you need to go to somewhere like Liechtenstein or the Isle of Man, don't you?
Yep, because now Switzerland have got a standing agreement with Europe that they will disclose people's banking details if they're non-national. Yeah, I'm taking my ball in. Taking my ball and I'm going home. I never used to do that actually. If we were playing with my ball when we were playing football or something and I had to go, I'd leave the ball and be like, yeah, somebody kick it in the garden when you're finished. It's a ball. We had about 20 of the fucking things. I'm not even joking. Because my brother was in a football team, my dad was the manager, coach, whatever you want to call it. So we always had like 20 size 5 footballs. So when I wanted to play football, I just took one of them. I'm quite good at football. I could have been a professional. But I would have been a defender, so I wouldn't have got paid anything anyway. So yes, Sean, are you going to join us on Star Trek Online? Because we could really do with somebody with power levels. Elbow. So this is the first JV Live of the year, and it's just about as eventful as every other JV Live of the year.
However, we haven't managed to insult any nationalities yet, be racist, controversial, or incite anything. So we're doing well so far.
That's a good point, actually. Right. Who would like to have the honour of insulting the first nationality on JV Live?
Bloody French.
I take it we're going with that tact, are we? We're going with last season's draw of bloody French and not changing it up this year.
Well, the French are such an easy target. The only problem is they do actually have a nuclear deterrent, and they've got an aircraft carrier, which, okay, admittedly we have to lease space on. But just wondering if we could actually launch an attack from a French aircraft carrier on France.
Well, it would be a French aircraft carrier.
Yeah, it's a French aircraft carrier, but just don't tell them where we're going.
Well, the thing is, if it gets sunk, it's not us that loses.
Exactly.
Look, I may have accidentally left a small thermonuclear device in the engine room. Doesn't mean it's going to sink.
It's just staying warm.
I was trying to turn them into ghouls. Sean, what are you on about? Who's different vape set up every draw? He also says installing it now, but I don't know if he is installing it now.
Ah, okay. It's about a 12 gig download, Sean. And that's another 12 gig if you install a Tribble server as well.
Sean would just like to keep you on your toes.
Oh, are you changing your setup all the time?
Hmm?
No, because Gord's has been on the Giggle box all night, haven't you?
Detonator, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on my SIG 150 and Nemesis, which is...
I will admit, I started the evening using the sub tank, but the coil's gone and my spare coils are over there, and I'm not getting up. So I'm now using the dripper with the same juice that's in the sub tank. 3 gig done. Yep. Ah, David. Yeah. No, but he's only got 2 mods.
Well, actually, I've got 3 because I've got my ice stick around somewhere. Follow the cable.
Is anyone else absolutely bored to death with the whole mod thing?
Yeah.
I have 3 that I use that I like.
Do you know what? I tell you what. Right, for me, this little Kanga box that comes with the sub tank. It's only 50 watt, but it's got magnetic for the battery. The battery lasts me about 6 hours on the sub tank, vaping away at like 30 watts, and I'm happy. I'm not really worried about changing my setup. I wouldn't mind an RX 200 just because of the free batteries would mean not having to change the batteries as often. But other than that, I'm honestly just thinking about getting the bits and building the LiPo box and having done with it.
Yep, that's what I've been doing for 12 months now. Just LiPo box, charge it once a day. Well, over Christmas I've been charging it once every 2 days because I'm using it a lot less.
But I tend, when I'm in the house anyway, I don't really vape that much. I'll vape when I'm sat at the computer, and I vape a little bit like if I'm watching something on the telly when I'm in bed. But other than that, I really just don't vape that much when I'm at home.
I'd kind of like to do a squonker, but it's one of those things that, whilst yes, it would be quite nice to do, it's not really a burning priority. So it'd be one of them where when I decide to do it, I'll probably just do it.
Yeah, but when you're using a tank on the Cooper Mini?
For a couple of days, and then I realised that I still don't like tanks. So it's up there and it hasn't moved for 4 weeks now.
But you've been dripping and driving for so long now. You got to be accustomed to it.
And it's not really any different than I used to smoke roll-ups and I drove.
Yeah, so you're driving and rolling.
You know, and one of the reasons that the Mini detonator is so big, other than the fact that it has to be that big, it actually works really well because you can just drop it between your legs and pin it, and you can open a bottle one-handed and just drip in. That's why I won't use glass bottles with drippers, because it doesn't work.
I don't usually like glass bottles with drippers, but when you get, well, there was another 2 bottles in there and another bottle of something else. Just drop through your door the day that you're going down to see Ollie to go and pick up some more juice. You kind of just use a glass bottle.
So no, I just have stuff that works for me, and I mean, when I smoked, I just bought the same tobacco every day, and you know, I think I'm just bored of the novelty's worn off.
Mate, the novelty wore off on me in probably about the first year. It's like with the Vape Fest, everyone was like, oh, what are you going to get at Vape Fest? Going to get some batteries.
Freebies.
Didn't even bother with the freebies, mate, because it's just not worth it. Had a bloke come up to me, do you want some snake oil? It's free. No, I don't like it. What? I don't like it. It's fucking horrible. Take it away from me. I could have taken that snake oil and I could have put it on one of the groups up for trade because everybody else fucking loves it, but no.
Oh yeah, Sean, I have got the new headset. That was some of my Christmas money.
Yes, you do, Trevor. You do need to get some Blue Murder. Because at the moment it's my all-day vape. Because I'm currently trying to work my way for 120 mil of it. What?
It's just too sweet to be an all-day vape, and I like my sweet desserty flavours.
Actually, do you know, in the sub-tank, it's not bad because it takes a little bit of the sweetness away from it, because tanks obviously don't give as much flavour as drippers. Like, now I'm using it on the dripper, I can really feel the sweetness, but then previously on the dripper, I've been dripping that Cheerios by Milkman, and I always said I would never vape American juice, because fuck America. Hey, I've insulted a nation.
Yes! Number 2.
But yeah, it's actually not bad, but then I think it's because it's like cinnamon donut.
Well, I have been brewing up some of my own again today. Well, not today. Yesterday. Brand new batches of peaches and cream and strawberry milkshake.
Would that be the number 22 strawberry milk?
Yes, it would be.
Me and you need to talk, young man.
and the number 21 is peaches and cream. But I've got another 6 or so different concoctions sitting in a drawer, basically stewing for a couple of weeks. Custardy, desserty flavours. And I did try doing fruit salad again, which was once again a horrible, horrible mistake.
Mate, I've been trying to do fruit salad since I started mixing about 3 years ago, and I can't get it. I can mix almost anything that I sort of put my mind to. As long as I know the concentrates, I can sort of guess, and I'm usually about right, and then just got to play around with it a little bit.
Trouble is, I found it's about 0.1 of a milligrams difference between being washed out or too strong. And I've just given up with it now.
It's a lot like the juicy fruits I had. I had a pure concentrate, and then I had some concentrates that I mixed up to make juicy fruits. My one was too strong, and the pure concentrate was too weak. So I've sort of given in. I've got my berry sim, which I mixed up for myself. Still got a little bit of it left. Because I don't go through as much juice as I used to.
I found that. Do you, with your sub tank, do you make your own coils, or are you using the stock coils?
I'm just using stock.
Oh. I used to get through so much juice with the sub tank and the stock coil, even with the build coils. But since I switched to using the nickel stock coils in the Crown, I get through about half the amount of juice I used to.
The sub tank I find is a very thirsty tank when you first put a new coil in, but once the coil's had a day or so to bed in, it's not as thirsty then.
The minis, the main sub tank or the big sub tank, that's thirsty all throughout, but it does have a nasty habit of also dropping all the juice you leave in overnight over your nightstand.
Yeah. Well, this is like everybody was going on about the, what is it, TFV4, whatever it is. And I'm like, no. Alright, you get a lot of flavour from it, but Ripper?
That's the nice thing about that. It just doesn't leak juice really. You don't tend to lose juice overnight or anything like that. It just sits there and works.
I'm loving the velocity, but to be quite honest, I only have the 2 main air holes open, and it's about as good as my old Zenith V2, which is 3 years old. Just slightly deeper juice wells, and it's easier to build on.
We've got a few comments from the chat. It says, I need batteries, that's the only downside of the RX200. You see how crap your batteries are, it tells you. He also says, Milkman Cheerios is awesome. Yes, it is. I can attest to this. Travis says, I'm partial to beard number 5 home. Let's make some more tomorrow. Someone says, on the Mystique Cronus at the minute. And then Travis says, I got some nice atom baked Claptons for my sub tank. Sean says, I have the TFV4 on my Cube 2. 30mm is a tester. And Travis says, my velocity on the Tesla is my favourite dripper at the Mo. And Sean says, twisted messes on the RX, and that is good.
I'm using twisted masses. I've been for months.
I'm using a Dark Horse because I was late to the party with a Dark Horse, but I actually really like the Dark Horse. It's got a nice build deck. It's only triple post, but you know, it's alright. And it vapes alright.
The thing is, all these drippers are much of a muchness anyway, I'm afraid.
It's got to the point now where there's not much you can do with a dripper to make it any better. Smok tried it with the one that I've got over there, I can't remember what it's called, X-Pure. They tried a different airflow system on it, and they got a ceramic base in it, and this, that, and the other. Didn't work. It was just terrible. The airflow on it was minimal. And so I don't think there's much you can do with it. So now it's just a case of everybody's telling you this dripper, that dripper is better because that's what they've just gone out and paid money for.
Mm.
It's not a case of it's actually any better. It's I've gone out and paid money for this and it rocks, which is what I'm finding a lot with games as well. Because like, so I've been having a conversation in one of the groups I'm in about Batman Arkham Knight, which, by the way, in Oxymoron we call it Batman Arkham Shite because A, it
I
didn't
take it
work.
you like the game then.
A, it didn't work on PC anyway. The console versions are fine, but if you're going to release on free platforms, make sure it works on all free platforms. B, the combat and stuff isn't really that much improved on Arkham City, other than the stalking mechanics are slightly better because you've got slightly better AI. But the AI on video games can't get much better anyway because we're still at a very limited point with that they're basically programmed to react to certain situations. That's all you can do. And then they made me drive that stupid fucking bat tank. Batman has never driven a tank. Well, he has, but that was in the later stuff. Much later stuff, actually, after Batman had already retired and then come out of retirement.
And technically, that wasn't a tank; it was an assault vehicle.
Yes, very true. In fact, yes, it was actually an assault vehicle, so that wasn't even a tank. So Batman doesn't do tanks. And the fact that all the other tanks you were going up against were radio controlled, so there were no people in them, which meant that you could blow them up. Everybody knows Batman won't kill anybody, so you just put somebody in the most armoured fucking vehicle you can and get them to blow the shit out of everything. Batman's got a choice then, he either breaks his cardinal rule, or he has to lose.
Sorry, you just walked right into that.
So,
It's what?
and then the story was terrible. And I can't ruin the story for anybody because, you know, spoilers. Actually, when did the game come out?
God knows.
18 months ago, at least.
Nah, it's not that long ago. It was out this year. Because it made it on
No, it wasn't. So last year.
Arkham Knight. Oh yeah, right, last year. Arkham Knight made it onto the shit list for 2015 for Oxymoron Gaming. Twice. We don't put games on list twice, but it made it onto the shit list twice. So yeah. Personally, for me, I think the highlight of my gaming last year was doing the 24-hour live stream for Fallout. I really enjoyed it. It was a nice little challenge, and I think more people should try it.
Have you completed Fallout 4 yet?
I've done the story, yeah, but nowhere near completing it. I'd say I'm at about 20%, and I've done about 200 hours, something like that, give or take.
So there's plenty of side missions to do then.
Oh, it's massive, mate. Absolutely huge. And it's not just that. There's ad hoc missions as well. So you sort of get sidetracked covering the ad hoc missions, so you can't go and do what you want to do sometimes because like somewhere's getting attacked and this, that, and the other. So you have to go there real quick. But it kind of gets annoying. But then when you know what you're doing, it doesn't get annoying because you know to protect your settlements a lot more. The only thing that annoys me is the settlements are limited to 20 people. And I would much rather have one really big settlement than have...
Lots of little ones.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's one of those things. There will be a 24-hour live stream at some point this year. I don't know what it will be yet. Because we've got lots of nice stuff planned for next year with Oxymoron, and it seems as this is on the Oxymoron channel. I'm going to tell you all about it, because, yeah. So, we've got lots of stuff going on. We're going to start a tabletop series, and when I say we, I mean me. where I'm going to get people together, and David doesn't know this yet, but he's been volunteered.
Ah, okay. Did I mention I'm moving to Aberystwyth?
That's fine. You can't move to Aberystwyth. You've just enrolled in university.
Oh, shift courses.
That's fine. I got family in Aberystwyth. So yeah, there'll be a tabletop series, which is just going to be a group of people playing tabletop games and having a bit of fun with it. Because I don't want to take anything too seriously, and I think that was the problem we had last year. We were trying to do things a bit too serious. But Sean says he still can't get into Fallout 4, and he's really tried. Wait a little bit. Wait for the mods to start coming out. Once you find a couple of mods that you quite like, start playing again. The mods might drive you back towards the actual game. But I mean, the shooting mechanics in it is absolutely brilliant. It's a really, really solid shooter. And I still think it's got great RPG mechanics, even though people say it's not an RPG anymore. It is. But yes. So yeah, we got that. We got Oxymoron News, which will be starting in a couple of months, which is basically just a roundup of the week's news in the gaming world and the general pop culture world. And it's just a lot more pop culture sort of stuff. It's not all going to be about gaming, which I think will be interesting, because I think with gaming you really limit yourself to one audience and one audience only. So if anybody's got any ideas of what you would like Oxymoron Gaming to do next year, then please feel free.
Midget Elephant Park.
I've tried, but you know how hard it is to schedule midgets and elephants on the same weekend?
That's why we go with pygmy elephants instead. Because then you got pygmy elephants, which are midget elephants.
Congratulations, David, you've just volunteered to be a fluffer.
Oh, well, it's a nice job.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot, because we've got more people joining the team slowly but surely over the next year. And they're all familiar faces. And I've got like half a dozen videos at least from David to upload. Leave me alone, man. I find other shit to do.
There's going to be another one in the next couple of days. It's the final mission in the Iconian War, which is about an hour long.
Shit.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. I will sit down probably tomorrow after I finish work. I'll sit down and go through everything I've got and start uploading it. Because it's not just a case of uploading it and giving it a title. You've got to upload it, give it a title, give it loads of tags. Then you've got to actually write a little bump about it. So it's... But yeah. So end of the month we're doing the relaunch proper. So the new Oxymoron Gaming will be at and about beginning of next month at the latest.
So a star-studded launch party with cheese and nibbles.
Well, it depends. I mean, probably not, because the budget might not extend to the nibbles.
I might have some Twiglets left.
I think I've got half a thing of milk tray around here somewhere. No, I don't. But yeah, it'll just be a nice, interesting time. And also, we have that side project thing that we're going to work on, which is a completely different YouTube channel, which is just going to be for the laugh and the jolly, and an excuse to watch some really, really terrible films.
Maybe some TV series as well. I'm sure we can find some real B-grade cult TV series.
Or we could watch some really great cult TV series like Firefly, except
Yep.
Probably not best to watch Serenity with me.
Well, it's okay up until just before they land on the planet.
No. Didn't happen.
It's not canon.
No, it's not canon. It never actually happened. They only did that film because they never thought they'd get another one. Where in actual fact, I'm going to petition for a new Firefly series. And if you haven't watched Firefly, you should really go and watch Firefly. And then
If
watch.
you have watched Firefly, another very good series to try out is Space Above and Beyond, which they
also got
finish on a
cancelled.
massive cliffhanger.
Which also got cancelled.
Yes.
And if you've done that, you could also go and watch Constantine,
Yeah, that got cancelled, didn't it?
which got cancelled. Oh, and then if you're into Star Trek, you could go and watch Enterprise.
No, that got cancelled.
Yeah, that got cancelled.
However, if you've got no brain cells, you could watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Which hasn't been cancelled.
Yeah, surprising that, isn't it?
Hmm. So who do you think Kim Kardashian's sucking off?
I have absolutely no idea who she is, I'm afraid.
She's the one who's only famous because she had a sex tape and then she married, is it Kanye?
Oh, the self-proclaimed greatest pop star in the world.
No. He said he was the greatest rock star in the world.
Ah, okay. From what I heard, that's not rock.
That's a lot of cock, but only in the sense of prison.
Hmm.
It's audio anal rape. That's it. That's the new name for our new show, Audio Anal Rape.
I think that channel might get shut down quite quickly.
Do you reckon?
It'd probably get an awful lot of hits beforehand.
And of course, at some point we've got to do something with boards, because we're probably planning a journey at some point this year with the Oxymoron lot. So please prepare yourself, of course.
Oh yeah, you thinking of coming up here?
Yeah. I warn
We
you
need to
now,
get our
though.
vaccinations first, though.
Warn you now, Fat Boy can't drink. Well, he can drink, actually. He can drink quite well, but it does affect him quite quick. But he doesn't get sickly drunk, he just gets, like, dumb drunk. And then he'll try and have a conversation with you. And I speak fluent drunk. Okay, working in pubs for all those years, I speak fluent drunk.
Ash vs. Evil Dead, excellent choice, Sean.
Yes, but I couldn't put it on the list because it hasn't been cancelled.
No. Yet.
Don't you dare.
It's a good series, so you know what they're like.
It is a
Probably
very
also
good
cost
series.
an awful lot to make. That's the big problem.
Well, considering Sam Raimi is directing every episode.
Hmm.
But do you know why they made it a series?
Because they couldn't fit it into a film well
Yeah,
without basically crucifying the story.
yeah, cutting so much out of it.
That is
That-
my eye stick.
Because if they'd have made it into a film, they'd have had to cut so much out of it. Parts of it wouldn't have made sense. And I think it's really good, and I think it's got a brilliant cast as well.
Hmm.
And the last episode was awesome.
I've only seen the first few episodes. I intend to watch the entire series in a row.
Everything you liked about the first two Evil Dead films is in this film. Is in this series.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Except the tree rape. Which is not in there for a reason, because when the original Evil Dead came out, and Sam Raimi was taken to court over here because of the tree rape scenes to like get a rating on the film, to actually get it rated so it could be released. He's always said he's had no way to defend that scene in the film.
Hmm.
So he's never been a fan of it. seem like a good idea at the time, and then it's not a good idea, and you've got no defense for something if it's a terrible idea.
Well, I suppose it could almost be defended in that it's appealing to the Japanese audience who there's quite a big market over there for tentacle rape.
Yeah, but if it ain't tentacle, they ain't in.
Uh,
So, but yeah, it is a really good series. And Trevor says no tree rape. No. Ooh, what about that for a channel name? Tree rape. In fact, let's just call the channel rape. Bill
and then
Cosby.
at the top of the channel border can just be a picture of rapeseed oil plants. Trouble is, that could actually, with all these filters out there, that could cause us problems. It's a bit like a lot of astronomy groups had problems when they brought in all the filters, especially when you're looking at naked eye astronomy, because that's so bad.
Naked. But yeah, rapeseed plants, and then in the middle we'll just hide a Bill Cosby.
Although wasn't he proved innocent?
No, he's been indicted.
Has he? Obviously hasn't got expensive enough lawyers.
I'm pretty sure the woman who was representing the other parties is a woman,
There's a surprise.
which is not going to go well in court for Bill Cosby. I used to do a Bill Cosby impression. Now it's bad taste, and I refuse to do it.
I've got the same problem with Rolf Harris. Had to throw away my wobble board.
Two little boys, Rolf. No. Grimm has always been a good watch. I couldn't get into Grimm. I think it's because I actually like the original Grimm fairy tales, and I'm not on about the fucking bastardized versions that we tend to have.
Are you talking pre-Second World War?
I'm on about
Before they got gentrified.
the original fucking Grimm fairy tales where everybody is fucking dead.
Yeah.
Fairy tales back then worked as a form of teaching kids to behave, basically. Pievel will say to the witch in the woods. Don't go in the woods, kids, there's a witch.
It's a bit like if you look at something like Cinderella. The Ugly Sisters actually carved off bits of their feet to try and get their feet to fit in the glass slippers. But then anyone who would walk around in medieval glass slippers is mad anyway, because it would just shatter instantly. And the Little Mermaid, basically, not her feet, but the tail was chopped off or something like that. It's been a long time since I've read the originals. Might have scarred me a little as a kid.
Thing is, man, I've seen mermaids, and mermaids don't look like fucking Little Mermaid. Mermaids are evil, horrible fucking creatures.
Yeah.
And by the way,
Otherwise known as
fairies.
sirens.
Yeah, fairies as well. Not nice.
Elves, also evil creatures.
Yeah, just generally.
Yeah.
Even the humanoid owls. They're cunts. Hey, first cunt of the year. Trevor says, didn't the originals spring up around the Black Death era? Some of the stories we tell now would have sprung up around then, but a lot of them predate the Black Death. And Sean says, back then fairy tales were ghost stories.
I think the most famous sort of Black Death era one was Pied Piper of Hamelin, with trying to get rid of the rats.
And then he steals the children.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as the proverb of Michael Jackson.
The Jimmy Savile story.
Oh. No, wasn't Jimmy Savile little girls?
I think Jimmy Savile was anything with a pulse.
Well, I don't think
Jimmy Savile, he had all the warning signs. He looked like a kiddie fiddler or a dodgy old man from the start. It was people like Rolf you didn't really expect.
no, because Rolf looked like a geography teacher, which
Yeah.
in turn makes him look like a kiddie fiddler.
Yeah.
We need to change the subject.
Yeah.
So yeah, cancelled TV shows, Firefly. It was awesome. You should really watch it. And if you like that, go and watch Con Man by Alan Tudyk. It's a really, really good series.
I believe it's on Netflix.
I don't know if it's on Netflix.
Or one of those pay systems, isn't it? I'll be using the commonly known Pirate Bay pay system to watch mine probably.
I can't remember what it's on. It's not Netflix. It's another one, and they got loads of like little internet TV series. Because there are some really good internet TV series.
Hulu. No, that's American only, isn't it?
Yeah, but it could be Hulu.
Hmm.
I don't know actually. I'm gonna find out.
These small independent TV series you really should support. Obviously, I'm probably going to watch it, not quite legally first time round, but I will be buying the DVDs or Blu-rays or downloadable media at some stage.
I will definitely buy it when it's out because it was awesome. Plus, you're watching it and you're like, that's so and so. Oh, that's so and so. Like Sean Astin's in it a few times, and Will Wheaton's in it.
Mhm.
And Felicia Day's in it. The entire cast of Firefly is in it. Michael Dorn is in it.
Mhm.
Tell you what I did watch over Christmas. I watched Ultramarine.
Don't think I've seen that.
It's on Coda.
Mhm. I watched very little TV over the Christmas period because my father took up residence in my living room. And being the cheerful soul that he was, I spent most of my time in the kitchen. But then I was hosting Christmas for the family, so...
Yeah, I remember you saying, man.
I've just about recovered.
We've all been on death's door, so we've not done much at all.
Oh, well, I remember Vimeo.
Ah, okay.
Through the rentals part of it, not the general. Cause
I've never been a big fan of Vimeo. It always seems to buffer horribly. And the picture quality's never been great.
yeah, I've had the same issue with Vimeo before. But with the actual rental stuff on Vimeo, it's a lot better because they use better servers.
Ah, okay.
Sean says Legends. If you ain't seen it, it's a great film.
Ah, you're getting close. There was another TV series that was cancelled that was really good. It was John Delancey and the guy who played MacGyver. It's a sort of cyberpunk western style thing. It is available on YouTube if you find the right links in reasonable quality. Okay, it's only VHS quality, but very, very enjoyable watch.
Kind of want to watch that now.
This is very
Cyberpunky Western.
Mm.
I have a thing about westerns and sci-fi being mixed.
Ah, but it's not sci-fi. It's basically if you think of sort of H.G. Wells style time traveler sciencey thing.
Steampunk.
But yeah, steampunk, but in a western setting. And let's face it, pretty much anything with John Delancey in and MacGyver is going to be good.
Wasn't Thingy MacGyver? He was in Stargate.
Richard Dean Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played Colonel O'Neill.
General.
Colonel.
He made it a general before the series was cancelled.
Another series that was cancelled. I think actually Stargate Atlantis, I think, was the only one that had a full run, wasn't it? Because they finally got back to Earth.
Yeah, because Universe was cancelled just as it was starting to get interesting.
Universe was a cheap rip-off of Star Trek, and you know it.
Yes, but it was the only reasonably good sci-fi series that was out at that time. And I quite like the character mix.
I can't watch that for the same reason I can't watch Enterprise.
Well, it looks a bit too shiny for its period setting.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, you go from Enterprise, which was a very industrial-looking ship, really. Not many bells and whistles. To the original series, canonically, we're talking here, canonically. And in the original series, the ship was so different.
But then if they'd had the sort of technology and visual effects they had now, then the original ship would have looked an awful lot better. There wouldn't have been big chocolate bar style buttons. Or tiny 4-inch screen things in the middle of a conference table.
Yeah, but that's what made it. Because I'm working my way through Next Gen at the minute. Because it's not long ago that I actually finished watching the original series, so I'm going to do Next Gen. I'm going to do DS9. Now I'm going to do Voyager. I know. I am actually going to watch Voyager.
Did you catch... Oh, it's Star Trek Renegades.
Yes.
Independent one.
There's quite a few independent ones, actually.
Yes, CBS and Paramount are suing the ones Anaxar. It's one of the other ones.
Yeah, but that's the one that went for crowdfunding, wasn't it, to do
Yeah,
YouTube?
but then so did... Well, Renegades wasn't... No, there was some crowdfunding in Renegades as well, but it wasn't for all of it.
Yeah, well, where the other one, they made the first episode, didn't they? And then they went for crowd... Well, they made it a small teaser episode, and then they went for crowdfunding to make the entire lot, whereas Renegades, they sort of already had it sort of made, and were just looking to finish it, basically.
Yeah.
The thing is, these people, that they take their pick and they'll do what they want. It's like there's a brilliant fan-made film called Harley, which is about Harley Quinn. And it's really good, but they changed the character so much that I couldn't watch it because I really like the character Harley Quinn.
I think the problem was that they had to change it because those aspects were copyrighted. And they didn't want to get into the same situation that some of the Star Trek fan films have got into.
But the difference is, they got sued, and the one who kept the story exactly the same as the original didn't. And the original one didn't because they didn't mention the Joker at any point, and this Harley Quinn one did mention the Joker. But there was some really good fan stuff. I mean, if you like the Fallout universe, Nuka Break is a brilliant little series.
Is that one that Machinima did?
Machinima?
That's the ones.
No, it was actually made by... Oh, crap. But I can't remember his name now. Fallout Nuka Break. Shit. There was a company behind it, and I can't remember what they were called. But they did Nuka Break fan film. Zach Frinfrock. was the guy who played Twig, the main character in it, and he had a lot of hand in making it. Wayside Creations. And they spent a lot of time putting it together, and then once they'd put it together and the original fan film went out, they then asked for crowdfunding to make a series of it, and it was quite good. Really good. The second series was even better. Used a lot more visual effects. They raised a lot more money, and you can tell that the money's gone into production, and it's not just lying in people's pockets. Because that's one thing I hate about some of these fan films, when they ask you for money and then you see the final product and it's like that did not cost that much to make.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to make something like that and you can't get somebody on board who is good at little bits of CGI and stuff like that, or a good editor and stuff like that, don't make the fucking thing in the first place.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's a really good Zelda one called A Fistful of Rupees. It's Zelda, but in a Western sort of style, which you should all go and watch, because it's fucking awesome.
Just a quick warning, Trevor, no spoilers.
No, Trevor. It's like JJ with the new Star Wars, that moron should stay away from cult films. That's another great one. He's sort of... Yeah, it's like the original. The two Star Trek films that he did don't feel like Star Trek films.
No.
They do feel like Star Wars films. The way the technology is sort of put out there for you, it does feel a lot like a Star Wars film, and not one of the good ones. I'm talking one of the newer three. That may or may not actually be. Sean, you can't say you hated it. It's Star Wars, you can't have hated it.
Well, you can say that about the Phantom Menace.
Yes.
Admittedly, the first minute or so I quite enjoyed of the Phantom Menace, and the last 7 minutes. The titles.
I'll have you know the titles were 12.5 minutes long.
I didn't watch a whole lot.
No spoilers from me. Impossible to comment without spoilers. I know some stuff that happens in the new film because the internet can't keep its fucking filthy whore mouth shut.
Yeah, I've picked up one pretty major spoiler that I'm not happy about.
Oh, that might be the same spoiler I've picked up on, but I'm not going to discuss it with
No.
you because if the only way of explaining it to you would be to tell you pretty much what happens in this spoiler, and I don't want to do that because if you don't know this spoiler, if you know a different spoiler, then that can be a dangerous game. Because some of us have been busy. Okay, some of us haven't had time to go to the cinema and watch.
Some of us looked out the window and thought, fuck it, it's raining.
I told you that in confidence.
Yeah, but I've had the same thoughts as well.
Yeah, but it wasn't raining, was it? It was fucking pissing it down.
Yeah, and I was trying to recover from my cloning of a hard drive going horribly, horribly wrong.
To be fair, you two are down south. Don't talk to me about it raining.
It's been lovely and sunny up north, hasn't it? You've had gorgeous weather for the past few weeks.
Put it this way, we're treating dry January as quite a cruel joke.
But then we had it last year and the year before.
And
the year before it was Somerset got absolutely hammered as well.
Yeah, I had to go and replace the fridge after that. Some of the fridges we do, they sit on the ground. So this warehouse got flooded down in Somerset, and we had to go and assess it. And they said, well, we knew that the water was going to come up and hit the fridge. So I said, well, did you not think to switch it off? Well, no, it wasn't running. Well, that's kind of the idea. It runs for 8 hours a day and then stops for 16. So anyway, by the time it had started up, it was underwater, which parts of it can survive underwater, to be fair. But the motor had started up, and the motor has a fan blade on the end of it. So the motor drives the compressor and draws cooling air through the condenser. Well, it started up underwater with an aluminium fan blade on the end of it. So it smashed the fan blade to bits as well.
Yeah. I've always found that electricity and water work so well together.
Well, if the motor's sealed well enough, which these are, they're IP65, they're almost submersible, they will cope, but IP65 only works if everything's up to date, and this was a 25-year-old motor, so the seals are actually gone porous. So it had to have a new motor and new fan blade, and we had to build a frame, and we've actually lifted it up 3 foot off the floor and then repiped it. So, you know, floods aren't bad for everyone.
No. They're fantastic for the carpet and wood flooring industries, as well as builders.
I'm expecting that I might have to go to a couple of places after all this that's gone on. We'll see.
It's like a lot of things where everything has a knock-on effect. It's like, do you remember? Oh, how long have you been in Worcester, David?
4 years.
Yeah, so about the year after you got here, about 2-3 years ago, we had some really, really strong winds. It was up and down the country, but we had it really, really bad.
I'll just interject, Trevor. We got a little bit of flooding in the back garden, but it didn't impact the pond at all. So we were actually really lucky where we are. We had flooding either side of us and around us, but my house is actually located halfway up a hill, and we were lucky compared to other people around the northwest. We didn't have anything serious.
And yes, Sean, I am a southerner. I was born south of the Thames, and I'm proud of it.
I'm not a southerner.
As far as I'm concerned, Oxford is the frozen north.
I'm Welsh. In Wales, I'm a southerner, because in North Wales there are no Welsh people.
No, they're all Scousers.
They're all fucking foreigners. In fact, if you go to like Cardiff, there is a lot of Chinese people. Mostly going to the university. It is a good university, I will give it that.
I believe Swansea's had some flooding.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think
not too much, not to the level that it's been up north. But
I think Ridian and Simon mentioned they'd had a bit of flooding.
Yeah, but they're getting flooding like Worcester gets flooding every year. It's just a bit damp.
Yeah, like 6 inches to a foot rather than up
Yeah.
in people's houses, basically.
Well, I mean, there are some houses that get affected around here, but you know, if you go and buy a house that's by the racecourse, then it's your own fucking fault. Because it's not exactly like it's undocumented flooding in Worcester.
At least they haven't had to close the bridge this year. Yet.
Yet.
But they did put the flood defences up.
We're not even a day into this year yet, come on.
That's pretty good going for Worcester in the winter.
I actually, just before I finished work for Christmas, I had to go up into Ulverston. And I went up quite literally behind the flooding. As it had subsided, I went up, and it flooded the same night I'd been there. I don't know how familiar people are with the Lake District, but I think it's the A591. It's a road that's used quite a bit, that's up in that neck of the woods, and it's gone. There's none of it left. It's a road that has a fell stream running alongside it.
Hmm.
So it basically diverts the runoff from the fells along and into a river. And that experienced that much water, it's actually undercut the road and destroyed it all. So, no, it's some people have got it bad, and there's going to be a hell of a clean-up. So I do believe, well, I did see pictures in the Manchester Evening News, and the quote was Ian Brown said that the only thing Manchester needed was a beach, and the terrace outside the Lowry Hotel, that's now covered in sand and silt. So, because the Irwell flooded and did all that.
Of course, it's getting quite a lot of coverage in the press, isn't it? All the flooding around Manchester.
Hmm.
But then, who moved their big headquarters out? Oh, yeah, it was the BBC, wasn't it? So, I feel sorry for the people that got flooded, but you live near a river, you know the risks.
It technically shouldn't be a risk, but we've been banned from dredging for years. So the river's capacity is, there's 15 years of silt built up in those
Also, there's been an awful lot of straightening of rivers as well, which is not good because water is meant to meander and it slows it down, which means it can spread out over the floodplain. Oh no, it can't spread out over the floodplains because the cheeky, no, not cheeky, the money-grabbing developers have built houses all over them. So it's the climate's changing. There's nothing we can do about it. Just learn to cope and adapt, and don't live on a floodplain.
I don't think there's an issue with building on floodplains as long as you're sensible and you build the houses to compensate for that.
The trouble is the developers don't, because that would cost extra money.
Exactly.
And if a developer does build on a floodplain, they should be forced to put in place proper flood defences. But then once again, that causes extra problems further downstream because the floodplain has been built on.
And the thing is, who's going to maintain those flood defences?
Well, that will come down to estate charges on these new developments, which means that the people that live there will get charged through the nose. It'll be run by the management companies who are a bunch of thieving bastards.
It's like one of the biggest developments in Europe is just up the road from me in Charlotte, and it's flooded. They've not even finished building on it, and it's flooded.
Well, how about instead of building our houses how we usually do on the floodplains, we actually just build up?
Just build them on stilts.
Yeah.
Do it like they do in Australia, where your house can be the top part of your house. But you have to go upstairs or whatever to get actually into the house. You got a normal 2-story house, whatever, and underneath you just use as garage space and something like that, because if you know it's going to flood, you're never really going to put anything too valuable in the garage.
Well, there's the Dutch concept where you actually have houses that are essentially built on pontoons. So when you get the flooding, it goes up.
So.
And it can't be too difficult to do. It just means that you have 2 or 3 meters of flexible pipes so that it can go up when the water comes and it can just go down again afterwards.
Well, think about that. What is there that's heading into Cardiff? A huge bridge. And it deals with tide every single day. So we can build structures to deal with this stuff. Like I say, houses on pontoons and flexible pipes. It's not difficult.
Or you can go with the system I use, which is you live about 30 feet above the river. And any flooding is just something that you essentially look down on.
You
get struck by lightning, but...
I will point out, probably about 100 meters above you.
Okay.
So if you flood...
Yeah, it'll be something pretty catastrophic because most of Worcester would be submerged.
It's like when I used to live on Lansdowne. I used to live on Mayfield Avenue, right at the top of the hill. And somebody asked us, someone, are you worried about the flooding? My old man was like, no, second highest point in Worcester. If we flood, everybody's fucked. But it's I don't. And then you got all this shit going on social media with people complaining about money not being sent to these flood places. And yes, I get it, it's terrible. But really, the money should have been spent years and years ago to protect these places.
Mm.
But it's a case of when you protect one, you're putting another in danger. When you protect that one, you put another. It's a chain reaction. Really, the only way to truly properly protect against flooding is to just constantly build everything on fucking stilts. But what can you do? There's not much you can do. The floodplains are constantly changing because they are putting in flood defences all over the place.
Mm.
Well, the thing with it is, a lot of the places up here that have flooded had all their flood defences cut and not built. They were supposed to be built and they weren't.
Well, it wasn't a standard sort of winter storm, was it? It was storm after storm, so essentially it was a 100-year event.
Yeah,
And you do actually have to look at the economics of it. You put all the money in for something that could happen next year, but also it could happen in 99 years' time.
I've got to admit it was wet even for Manchester, and we're quite accustomed to wet.
Well, the thing that didn't help as well is, don't forget, we've had a predominantly dry year
Yeah.
last year. That there wasn't that much bad weather. We had a really mild November and December. October, I think, was colder than November and December. And then we've got to a point where the ground's so dry that it can't take in the majority of the water. And then when you get what we've had, which is essentially 3 or 4 tropical storms, one after another, barely a day's rest between them at one point. Everything just sort of goes tits up. I don't know. I mean, I feel sorry for the people that have been flooded, especially the ones where they should have had the flood defences in place. It was like that one place, I can't remember where it was. They had the flood defences in place, and then about 2 or 3 hours before the flood water hit, they removed one of the flood defences to take it somewhere else.
Well, the one that worked really well was York. Had pumps in and everything, and the pump houses got flooded, so the pump stopped. Someone really didn't do the job properly.
But it's like somebody said to me, water's unpredictable. No, it's not. Water's very predictable. Water is a lot like electricity. It will take the path of least resistance, and that's it. Water isn't going to all of a sudden make a U-turn and decide it's going to go up the hill.
It always goes down.
Although that being said, water is the only substance that can defy gravity.
Yes.
Obviously in very, very small amounts, but...
And water can go uphill, but you need an Archimedes screw to do it.
Or a lock system.
Well, a lock system works on the same principle as Archimedes screw. But yeah. Where are we? Sean says, impossible to predict. Look at the Christmas Eve, 16 degrees in Derby. That's insane. Yeah, I mean, 16 degrees in the summer in Derby is fucking mental.
We had Christmas lunch in the conservatory, for crying out loud. You shouldn't be able to do that.
Trevor says, and now the weather. Another load coming over the next few days. 2 low pressure systems, one behind the other. And then Sean says, you know it's bad now they've started naming the storms in the UK.
Yep, just wait till you get to Storm Jimmy or Storm Rolf.
We won't have a Storm Jimmy or Storm Rolf. We've already had a Storm Jimmy and a Storm Rolf.
We had a Storm Frank.
I'd say we should name them like real stereotypical British names, but I don't think there are any stereotypical British names left anymore.
Kevin. Clive. Uh,
Archibald.
yeah. Storm Bertie.
Bertie. I like that one. That's a nice one.
But then of course you have to have a Storm Storm Jeeves as well. That's right. For the next of female names, excellent idea, Trevor.
Next one will be female name.
Mm.
Chastity.
Beryl.
Beryl.
Betty.
Mavis.
And there's been a Storm Mavis, if I remember correctly.
I called my battle axe Mavis in D&D. You gotta have names for weapons, man. You can't just call it, this is my sword.
Well, a sword has to have a name, otherwise it doesn't develop a soul.
Yeah, and a sword without a soul is pretty much useless.
Yeah.
It's just a sharp piece of metal.
I could actually do with winding up.
Yeah. I think it's about time to wind up. So, would everybody like to do their goodbyes?
Yep. Happy New Year, everyone, and we shall see you next week.
David?
Yeah, once again, Happy New Year. Hope you're getting over Christmas and the New Year's Eve festivities, and see you all next week. Of course, don't forget that you should like, subscribe, and all the social media things I'm sure Ryan will tell you about in a moment. And goodbye.
Stealing my shtick. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been JB Live, Season XX, Episode 1, the season premiere. Don't forget to like, share, favourite, and annoy us in the comments. It is kind of annoying, but we do enjoy it. Oxymoron Gaming is changing for the better. It's changing for you, so if you do have any interesting ideas, then please let us know. Other than that, thank you for watching, and thank you for being a part of the show, Sean and Trevor. And if you're watching this on playback, I pity you. Tatty buys.